Hey everybody, surviving together. This is Sharon, and here we see you, we hear you, and we believe you. So, welcome to today's show. We're going to be talking about different trauma responses. You can call them effects of trauma or trauma responses. It kind of used interchangeably. First off, how is everybody? Sandy Wandy, how you doing, Sandy? Shannon Smith, so good to see you. Janet, how's it going up there? Who else do we have? Gypsy Daisy, wonderful to have you here today. I am somewhat prepared for today. And I say that because the list is just huge. Tell me what you see if I move off to another screen to look at something. Did the screen just go blank for you guys? Or black? Or what did you see? Anybody? Okay, you know what? I'm just going to do this real quick. Hang on. Okay. Really? Nothing different? You still saw me? Wow. Well, I'm printing it anyway. Well, it's good to know, at least. I was changing tabs, and I was going to a Word document. So it's good to know that you guys could still see me then. Jen, how you doing? Wouldn't you know it? You know, I'm really not that popular generally. My phone doesn't ring or anything. Yesterday I had a migraine. I was down pretty much all day. Threw a monkey wrench into my plans because I had an eyeglass appointment. I was going to get new glasses. Have to reschedule that. Had to reschedule my mammogram. You just hate it when things like that go down. And then my phone was going off like every 5 minutes. And I like to keep it on just in case my son needs me. But dang, I have to check it each time to see who it was. And now, just as I was getting ready to go live, somebody called me as well. Like, oh, Lord. He doesn't know I do live, so I kind of forgive him. But so what's going on with everybody? Doing well? Ish? Yeah, Sandy, actually, we did get a little bit of snow. Jen, I don't know if over by you, but we still have a dusting of it on the ground in places. I mean, not everywhere, but, there's some grass here and there that still has it on. Even with the sun, it was really, really weird. Gypsy, you took a step in your escape and you're proud of yourself. It wasn't much, but to you, it was huge. Hey, I don't know what escape you're talking about. If you feel comfortable, if you could just shoot up a little, is it out of a domestic situation or out of an addiction, or I'm not sure what you're escaping. But even the littlest bit, if you're moving forward, even the littlest bit is grounds for congratulations, because I know how hard that can be, whatever it is that you're trying to escape, depression or, your addiction. It doesn't matter what it is. Those little steps are successes, and we celebrate those successes. So absolutely pat yourself on the back and feel good about that, because that good feeling is going to help you roll into the next one. Okay. If you've got your plan out, at least kind of, sort of in your brain, you can get to your next point. Oh, is this about leaving your brother? About getting out of his house? That would be wonderful if that's your solution for it. Anything that you do that moves in the right direction. Okay, yeah. Now I'm recalling, and Shannon's comment dinged my brain. We talked about this, and I understand your situation, and I am so happy for you. So whatever it was that you did that was moving you in the direction, excuse me, of getting you out, celebrate it. We're going to celebrate. I am right here. Woo! I still have to get some sort of trophy, or you know what? I just need to go to the dollar store is what it is. I'll go to the dollar store and find the most ridiculous thing they have. And, that'll be it. This time of year, it's Easter. So I don't know. It might be something Easter related. I wanted to do my son's helmet. We got this helmet. It's from Skyrim, which is a video game for you who do not know, science fiction type of fantasy. And he wouldn't let me do it. It's really cool, though. I mean, it's so big, though, it kind of ends up being a mask, but it's got these horns that come out of it. I know you guys would laugh your butts off. It would be just hilarious. Tree hugger, so welcome. Oh, Jen, be nice to Cleveland. They've got their Hall of Fame there. Don't they have multiples? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is there. Where's the Baseball Hall of Fame? I wanted to say that was maybe somewhere around there too. I don't know. I should be here. Well, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I know Detroit would probably like the Hockey Hall of Fame there too, but yeah, go to Toronto. It's fitting that it's in Canada. It really is. As much as Detroit would love something like that, it just, I got to give it to the Canadians. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. That's better. I'm still monkeying with the light, and because it's lighter in the day at the time that we go at 7 o'clock. I mean, now it's light out, and it stays light out till about 7:30, 8 o'clock now, which is so weird after having darkness for so long. So every time I do this, the lighting is a different situation. It's brighter outside, and I've got to close the blinds, or eventually I'll figure this out. But as long as you guys can see me and hear me, really, that's the most important part for me. I really, really, what I want to say, it's the substance is what's important to me at this point in time. The smoothness and the good lighting and all that. It'll come later as the channel grows, as I get things more set, as I can afford to buy a better camera and buy a little bit of a lighting system. My dad has a few lights, but I need to get a light because of my glasses. And it's just a matter of doing it, and setting the money aside for it. So it'll happen. It'll happen. Glasses first, though. And for my son, unless he wants contacts, which, of course he can't decide. So he'd like to have both, but the insurance will only cover one. You can have an eye exam, or you can have a contacts exam. You can't have both. And why they're different, I'm not 100% sure. I just know they are. And I tried to explain this to my son, and he was arguing with me about they should be the same. And I'm like, I'm not disagreeing with you, but that's all I can tell you is that they're different. He was kind of beside himself. He was just, he had a few questions for the optometrist when he went in. Pretty hilarious, I got to tell you. Wait, Tree, you can take a ferry and visit Janet. Oh, that's right. When she moves, right? When she moves, she's going to be right next to you. Sahoru. Is that how you pronounce your name? I'm really not sure. Somebody's going to have to help me with that one. How? Who? Someone's going to have to help me with that one. I am totally going to butcher that. Sorry, guys. So I won't make you wait until the end of the video. I think a lot of you already know. If anybody caught Tommy's live this morning when he was at the airport or listened to it on replay, he spilled the beans a little bit early. I was going to make the big announcement on this show, but yes, Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, our standard live time for Saturday, Tommy Scoville of the Lifeboat is going to be on here with me. So I'm very excited about that. We're going to be doing a comparison, comparing and contrasting prison trauma versus SA trauma. And it should be a really interesting discussion. So, and that's part of why I wanted to go through trauma responses today to kind of give us an idea, put it all together as to all the different types of responses that people can have to trauma, to childhood trauma, particularly SA trauma, since that's, our main focus here. And, you could have one, you could have all, you could really have none of these and react totally different. So again, just it's the possibilities, and a lot of people do experience these. I'm just going to kind of run through the list just so you see how many there are, and I'm sure I've missed some, and if there are, shoot them up in the chat, and we will definitely I'll definitely mention them. Yeah, there wasn't much of a boat. He's traveling. I'm not sure when I think it's going to be a quick trip because he's going to be back for the Saturday live. He's going to be in Tucson, at least by Saturday. So he's not going to be very long, I should say. Sandy asks, will we be carrying childhood trauma to prison trauma? It's something that we can speak about, or if you have questions, shoot up question, put question in all caps so that I know that you have a question that you want to ask, and I'll throw it up on the screen. And if you have something specific in regards to that, feel free to ask. I want to get to, and this is also why I want to have Kelly 69, who was in the Georgia state system, prison system, on to kind of do a same type of comparison, but doing it from the female perspective. I gotta say, it's probably going to be pretty darn different. Tommy's pretty in touch with his emotions and feelings, though. So if there is any trauma, or he could see that there's any lasting trauma from some people, I think he's going to be a good one to discuss it with. But particularly, I want to talk about the strip searches. I know that he said that, you do them 1,000 times. And so you can just, you do them and you don't care. I've got to imagine, though, there's some trauma from that, especially, from your first few times having to do it. Are there any guards who have been nasty or just made nasty comments or things like that? I think that there's definitely, there's such a vulnerability when you're put in that position and you have a loss of power. You have to do it. There's no choice. And, what do we feel as SA survivors? What do we feel about when we were in the situation of abuse? Extremely vulnerable and powerless. So there are a lot of parallel lines. And so that's kind of what I wanted to delve into. But if you have a question specifically about something, please, I want you guys to be involved. I don't want it just it's not just going to be Tommy and I talking all the time. I want you guys to be involved. Absolutely. Shannon, your sister was in the Florida system and she was horrified. Florida is awful. I can only imagine what you're talking about. I know what Kelly had to say about when she was on Tommy's show about the Georgia system in general and kind of the way the women were there. And I can't imagine that, a whole lot of states are going to be that much better. I'm going to say probably par for the course, but I don't know. So, it'll be interesting. Yeah, all of you who have experiences or have, family members who have had experiences, bring those, and let's talk about them too. Throw them in the mix. Let's see if we get a common denominator amongst all of them. I think we probably will. Even men's through women's. It's going to be different, but I think there's still going to be some commonalities that we're going to be able to see. And I'm really interested to see it. You just wanted to know just want to understand the agenda. Yeah, I didn't break it down into one or the other. So if there are any questions about something specific, or certain responses are a little bit more common in childhood than they are as an adult. So we may discuss some of those, and it may then be from a child's standpoint, and or how those reactions carry on into adulthood, and how those manifest in your daily life as an adult. Tree, I think you're right. If you have trauma to begin with and being put in prison, you imagine it's horrible. I have to imagine it compounds your trauma, right? There's a lot of people who were SA'd before they ever went into a prison system. Boys, girls, men, and women. And I think we tend to forget that sometimes, that when someone goes into the prison system, they have their prison trauma. They have whatever happened to them in prison. Yeah, but they had a life beforehand, before they turned to drugs, or before they turned to crime, or, whatever their situation was. They had a life before it. Now, maybe it was good and there wasn't really any trauma, but it could have been not good, right? And you throw on the powerlessness of being in prison. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation. I don't think that was what Tommy expected when I told him the topic. I gave him an out. If he didn't want to talk about that, we could talk about something different, but no, he's game. So I think he thought we were just going to talk about addiction and how, negative coping skills of, SA trauma. Addiction is, one of the most common. We may get there. We may talk about it, but it's not my focus. I came up with this on a flash when I was sitting next to Jen, actually, believe it or not, a couple of weekends ago. And I like it. I think it'll do well. Oh, Gypsy, I'm so sorry. As an SA survivor, a cancer treatment survivor of that medical machine, it was re-traumatizing on the daily. I hope that you are all done. I believe so, right? You're all done with your cancer treatment now. There is no more. I think I look the color of my walls in this. I think I might be blending in. That's pretty bad, guys. Oh, bless her. So this is the Florida system that Shannon is talking about. She witnessed women being sexually assaulted. Black women were beat. White women were raped. She was also in the Massachusetts system, and it was about rehabilitation, not abuse. Well, that's great. So there's hope after all. I mean, I got to imagine not every place is bad, and even within a particular state, not every prison is bad. You hope, right? It may be that it is, but hopefully that there are places that are focusing more on rehabilitation. And I got to imagine it's tough from a public policy standpoint for prisons to justify, I guess might be the word, of having certain programs in place for the level 3s and level 4s, the people who are going to be spending 25 to life in the prison. You know, it's unlikely that most of them are going to get out, that you're going to be spending the rest of their days in there. I still think it's worth it to give them self-worth, you know, to have some sort of rehabilitation program, and to be supportive of them having classes, or, you know, even if they're online classes or whatever, you know, furthering education, things of that nature, just for let them grow as a human being, right? And I mean, the happier your prisoners are, the happier the prison's going to be. You know, you're going to prevent riots and, you know, breakouts and things like that if people feel that they have some worth and some value, something that they can offer, and they're not just, you know, a rat in a maze going dun 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 to work and dun 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 dun, dun to chow and dun 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 dun, dun to the cell, wash, rinse, repeat. So this is going to be good. This is going to be good on Saturday. I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Let me catch up with a few of your. Oh, it's interesting, Tree Hugger. You say north versus south. I don't know. That could be the distinction. I'm not sure. Why are you out of breath, Tree Hugger? I never worry about greeting us properly. You're here and you're talking to us, and that's good enough. Hey, Lacey, how you doing? I didn't see you sneak in. Yes, Sandy, you're right. All people, oh, it won't show up. There it is. All people need rehabilitation, you know, whether they're going to be getting out or whether they're not. If you are constantly just beating a guy down and not giving him a chance, you know, I'm using him as the neutral, a chance to better themselves, they're going to rise to what your expectations are of them, right? If we expect more out of them as people, not prisoners, people, I have a feeling that they would rise to meet those expectations. And the higher you set those, you know, the more that's going to lift somebody up. And I'm not sure why public policy, you know, our politicians who are the ones who generally are shoveling the funds to this, can't see that. Then let's start getting to a political discussion, and we don't need that. So that's definitely something that we're not going to be speaking about, but it's frustrating, and I can certainly understand, you know, Tommy's frustration when he speaks about it, and some of you when you've brought up things, that it's just very frustrating as to how things are, and could there ever be change? I mean, I definitely think there could be. How to do all that, I'm not involved in it anymore. We definitely have to see. Oh, you looked up a queen angelfish today. Aren't they beautiful? Aren't they beautiful? You were painting, that's why you're out of breath. Well, wonderful. That's wonderful. Yes, queen angelfish, they're so beautiful. If you guys don't know what they are, it's, you know, they should have been named rainbow instead of the rainbow trouts. They just have the most beautiful coloring. They kind of have this grayish blue background, you know, and then they just have their scales are just all of these different colors, and they are so beautiful. And one time I was following one, and I was diving down in the Caribbean, and I really wasn't paying attention to where I was going. And all of a sudden I looked at my gauge, and I was 120 feet below. And I thought, oh shit, this is the maximum for recreational divers. I'm really glad that I looked at my gauge now. So I had to do a few more safety stops on the way up to make sure I didn't get the bends. But yeah, they're just so pretty. I just loved them amazingly. So yeah, they're just beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I haven't dove in a while, but I got into it when I was in law school. After my first year of law school, my husband at the time took us on a trip to the Caribbean that he had planned, and I didn't dive at that time, but after that, and seeing how clear the water was, I don't like diving into lakes or things like that where I can't see. There's so much silt. I don't like things brushing against me that I have no idea what they are. I don't know if it's a fish. I don't know, if it's seaweed or whatever. I don't like that kind of feeling. But if I can see in the water, I'm golden. That's fine. Even the sand gets kicked up and it gets a little silty, but it's that's fine. See, Janet, you're with me. We're only diving in clear water. Absolutely. So Caribbean it is, and a few other places. I would love to dive the Red Sea. Wow. Love to. And of course, Australia, New Zealand, areas over there would just be absolutely phenomenal. I'm sure my gear is like shriveled up and no good anymore. My regulators probably dried out, but I'm sure the gear has come leaps and bounds in the last probably 20 years or whatnot. So need all new equipment anyway. So need to find me a rich boyfriend for that. Yeah, Tree, you're with us, right? The things that you can't see that, that's, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Okay, well, why don't we get into a little bit of what I wanted to talk about today, and that is just trauma responses, all the different types of trauma responses. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to list them. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to go through a list, and then I'm going to go back to the beginning, and we can talk about them. I don't think we'll have time to talk about absolutely each and every one of them because there are so many. And if I miss some things that you guys think of, please throw them up in the chat. So, and these are the points that I plan on doing deep dives into. So, depression, that's a big one, right? So, I would do an entire show on depression and, what it is, how you can get out of it, all of that. Get some statistics for you. I have to say that so slowly. Denial, that's another response that we do, right? We just shove it in a box and put it away and pretend it never existed. And some of these overlap, and some can be also symptoms of, especially like depression. Depression's such a big umbrella, and it has all these feelings underneath it, but those feelings can also be separate, if that makes any sense. They can stand on their own because you don't have to have depression if you have anxiety. You can just have anxiety. So anxiety, that's one of them. Emotional numbness, I just mentioned. Dissociation, that's a big one, especially in severe childhood trauma. Personality changes, appetite changes, PTSD, which of course, again, that's, kind of an umbrella that has a lot of different feelings underneath it. So a lot of overlap in what we would talk about. So my idea is to talk about some of the, the anxiety, the panic, some of those things first as a deep dive, and then get to PTSD and depression, since they're kind of more umbrella responses, I guess is the best way to say it. So anxiety, panic attack, anger/rage issues, promiscuity, intimacy issues. So in the bedroom with whoever you're with, significant other, boyfriend, one night stand, whoever. But we're talking about bedroom activities here. Trust issues, sense of safety issues, guilt, self-blame, shame. I've kind of lumped them all together. They're individual, and when we deep dive into it, we will be speaking about each one individually. But usually if you have one, you have at least one of the other because they are so interrelated. Triggers and flashbacks. This is an actual, instead of a feeling, this is an actual trauma response for later on after you have had your trauma. So I want to do definitely a deep dive into talking about triggers and responses and how we deal with them and what can be a trigger, that sort of thing. Addiction, of course, got to talk about addiction and all that goes along with that. And suicide is the last one that I have on the list. I know there's probably others, so if you guys have ones, you can certainly shoot them up. Oh, your nephew. Oh, see, I couldn't do this if they were like going down for a car or something, or they were going down for a body because they know somebody drowned and just feeling around. My heart would stop. You would have to resuscitate me. I swear. I cannot, even just thinking about it is making my heart beat faster. That is just woo-ha. Christmas, what should I call you? Because I don't know how to pronounce the first part. I don't know if that's your first name or just something else. Isolation, yeah, good. Sleep issues, yeah. Isolation, sleep issues. See, this is where it truly shows that we're helping support each other, because I learn from you guys just as much as you learn from me. Because we've all had different experiences. A lot of similarities between them all, but none of them were exact. So everyone has something a little different about their situation. Okay, great. Those are some wonderful add-ons. Thank you. I'm going to throw tree huggers up here. Yes. So talk a little bit self-esteem issues. Yeah, that could definitely be a separate one. I kind of put that under personality changes. And in personality changes, that's going to be a kind of a broad umbrella as well. So I'm going to put that as a bullet point under my personality changes there. Feeling like you don't fit in. 100%. I get it, and I understand what you mean. I know that fits somewhere, and I don't know where right now. But I want to put that as a bullet point under something. My brain's just going. Gypsy. I've worked all day. I'm going to have to use the dictionary. Anhedonia. Shame. Yeah. The guilt, self-blame, shame, I will speak about together. Again, they're three separate things, but if you have one, you likely have the other. If you have guilt, you probably have shame. If you feel shame in general, you probably feel self-blame. They all kind of go together. Okay, Jan, if you looked it up, why don't you give it to me so I don't have to look it up while I'm live online with you guys. But I'm going to write it down anyway, just as it is. Anhedonia. Well, hedonism. And an would be anti. Is it hedonia or dedonia? I'll have to look it up. Lack of interest, enjoyment, and pleasure from life's experiences. I get it. So the and I know was a non type of thing, and okay. And these are the types of things that we're definitely going to speak about under the umbrella of depression. But they're important to talk about each on their own as well. Dead air, dead air. Life's experiences. You guys would laugh at my shorthand. Basically, emotionally blunted. Yeah, and that kind of goes in with emotional numbness as well, which we'll be speaking about again. And that's something that goes underneath the depression umbrella. Some things that can be put under there. There was one other one. See, Shannon, you were on me. You were exactly thinking the same way I was, thinking hedonism but anti, and so I was trying to put those together into something that made sense, and I hadn't gotten there. So that was really good. Oh, the don't fit in anywhere. That was the one I wanted to put down as a separate one. Boy, did I feel this one growing up. Not only did I have the SA, but I moved every 3 years. And so constantly being the new kid, I've spoken about this before. I didn't feel I had anything to offer, other than I was smart, because I hadn't ever really been taught to make friends or, how to even be a friend. So I had an idea because I read a lot. That's mainly what I did. I read. So I would be either inside at recess if I could, if they let me, and I'd be reading or doing my homework or doing math problems. Yeah, I was that girl who did all the summer reading. I was that girl who did the packet of math that they might give you for over the summer. I did it in the first few weeks because I didn't have anything else to do. And nobody else to talk to. And so for me, they became like math puzzles. That's how I approached school when I was younger. I approached it as it was a puzzle. I love puzzles. And so I approached it like puzzles that had to be figured out. So it was something that interested me and something to do again. Let's see. What else am I missing? Oh, you're a read and hide person too, Tree? I feel such an affinity towards you already. Definitely. And Shannon's loved reading too. Yeah, I don't know if you can say that, it'd be interesting to see how many avid readers there are amongst survivors. I'd be really interested to see that. Not just somebody who reads, but I mean, an avid reader. If you could say when you were growing up or as an adult. That would be interesting, I think. Pardon me, I have not been hydrating properly during the day. I will admit that. I sat in my chair and read, or, well, worked, which is reading. Since I missed all day yesterday, I had to make up some stuff this morning. So denial, I'm not really going to do too much of anything in regards to that, because we have touched on it before. We will do a deep dive into it and the different ways people approach denial, and the different ways that denial kind of breaks itself apart eventually. It's hard to stay in denial for your entire life about it, because even if you're on one level denying that anything happened, those effects on your body and on your emotions are still going to be there, and that's going to manifest somehow, right? So on one level, your conscious level, you're like, nope, I'm denying that this ever happened, but you've got digestive issues, or you've got anxiety, you've got chronic pain, all sorts of things that can happen to your emotions and your body, despite the fact that you don't want to deal with it. So it leaks out anyway. And it looks like we are definitely having a reading club. We have got Tree, Shannon, Lacey, Sandy. Christmas Red, but it was absolute trash. I read mainly teen romance novels, so I would say mostly trash. I did read about the mysteries of the universe, and the pyramids and ghosts and things like that. I was fascinated by that kind of stuff, and I loved archaeology. I got into that early on, so I would read anything that I could get my hands on archaeology wise. But there weren't many books in the library actually about that, and this is before we had internet or anything, so really wasn't a place to learn much about it. But that is one of the things that I love. And I will admit that my choice of reading material probably affected me quite negatively, because there was always that hope that you might one day have an experience something like what was in the books. It didn't have to be exactly. I just wanted it to be something like, meaning that there would be a guy who was really interested in me because of me and not because of anything else. And I really, really hoped for that. And I don't know if that affected how I put myself out there or not. I know it affected my idea of whether or not I was successful in life. Growing up as a teen, there's, you don't have a job or anything. So, how successful are you? Well, I didn't fit in. I was never going to be in with the popular crowd. I fit in with the book nerds, bookworms, whatever you want to call them, basically in high school. And all of us who took AP classes together, we were together most of the day because, we had all the same classes. I fell in with that crowd, but that was the only time I ever, fit into something. And they were my friends, but only a couple of them did I ever do anything like after school with. They were my school friends, just kind of like you might have work friends. So, and you might even think that these are like close people, but when it comes to socializing outside of whatever environment it is that you're in, they don't take the offer. And that always boggled my mind. I remember this one person I worked with that had a few struggles. And each time he did, I, made sure that I called, sent a message, checked up on him, that sort of thing. And he would always say, Sharon, you're such a wonderful person. I'm so thankful that you're a friend. You're such a good friend. But we would never do anything together, not even. And I understand some people, when they're married and they're a guy, they don't want to go grab a drink with a girl because it looks weird or feels weird or whatever. I said, hey, how about you and your wife, or you and your wife and your kids? I don't care. Let's all, grab a drink and they can have dinner or whatever. But no, that wasn't. Work friends were separate from the rest of the life. Very weird. Very weird. Diane, hi. When did you get in here? As I was blabbling on and on, I suppose. Yeah, this seems to be a common refrain. one. Oh, Lacey and Shannon. I got a couple of paranormal buddies. Yay. And let's hear it for reading trash. Woo woo. Listen, growing up, I don't know if you guys, this will mean anything, but do you remember the Barbara Carter novels? Okay. That was like huge. That was like Harlequin romance, right? It was either Harlequin or Barbara Carter. My mom was a Barbara Carter one, and she had so many of them. Oh my Lord, did she have so many of them. And it's funny because she beta reads for people now that put their work on the internet, and they're always some sort of romance. I mean, she loves science fiction too. That's her other love, but most of them, and sometimes they're science fiction love stories. But you definitely can't take the dreamer out of my mom, I guess, that way. I don't know. Would she have done some things different if she hadn't been pregnant with my brother? I don't know. We'll never know, right? But very, very funny that she's still into that. Agatha Christie, of course. Oh my gosh, of course. Her mystery novels, I love them, but only when I got older because of the language that she used. I tried to read them as a youngster, and I'll say like third grade type of thing. And they were just too dense for me. My mind just couldn't wrap it around. I wasn't one of those brilliant, third graders type of thing. So when I became preteen teen, I could read Agatha Christie, and then that became definitely a love. Cartland, thank you. Not Carter. I almost got it right. I was close. That's pretty good. I haven't thought about that in forever. Sandy, you read history, philosophy, religion, current affairs, cultural studies, biography, math, but very seldom novels. Interesting. So you're not into fiction, that's kind of Tommy said he's not either, and I've known many other people who aren't into the fiction side of things. They much prefer nonfiction. Nowadays, I will say my reading mainly consists of reading about archaeology, biographies, and history because of that, and not really religion, but I mean partly religion because it how it affected whoever the people were through the time and how those people interacted, and it can make a big difference based on what their religion was. So those are actually kind of the main things. So Sandy, I'm definitely more with you. I don't read yes, Hercule Poirot. I don't read much nonfiction right now. I did before. Okay, honest, I did before the lifeboat. I was replacing one addiction with another for a while. I had gotten off smoking for a time, really, and it was maybe every once in a while, but I would get hyper focused into something. I needed to have that focus into something. The only problem is that I get hyper focused into it to the detriment of the rest of my life, right? It became all consuming. And so it was all I could do to fit work in and to paying the bills. And sometimes not even I get that right. And I was reading just fan fiction. It was just, I could think of whoever I could think of, and somebody's written a story about them, and for me, it was just entertaining. And I was sucked into that for quite a while. It was online games before that I was doing consistently. And how I managed to switch from one to the other, I really don't know, but oh, interesting. Oh, Kristen, yes, hi. You got hyper focused on Scientology memoirs. You read almost all the big. Now that is interesting. I will probably tap you. I still want to do essay in Scientology. It is still on my list. I had to back off of it a little bit because of things that needed to get done in my life, basically. There's so much I want to do with this channel too. And there's so many, videos I want to put out, like the 3 that I did, kind of 10-minute videos on depression or on dissociation or, on these subjects that we're talking about. But I've got a couple more things in my life, taxes being one of them, that I need to get done to feel like I've got those major things accomplished that I had been putting off for so long. As you can see, my office is still not put together. So this is definitely one of them. And I have paperwork, boxes and boxes of paperwork that I need to get sorted, put in the storage unit, figure out what I'm doing with it, toss it if that's what I need to do, so that I can get those out of the corner of my office as well. So with taxes, those are my really 3 big things that I'm trying to focus on instead of the channel. And when I get those done, I can focus so much more on the channel, so much more energy towards the channel, and I won't feel guilty about it because I won't have other things hanging over my head that I think I should be doing. And I think for my health and my stress level, I think that's going to be the most beneficial. And you guys are going to get the best of me that way. Sandy was a Scientologist for a little bit. Now, you were a public Scientologist, correct? I think, if I remember correctly. Diane's into history. We could definitely have a book club here, too. The L. Ron Hubbard biography, Barefaced Messiah, is fascinating. I bet. Jen, which I don't know where she went, but she's been doing some research into the beginnings of, oh, yes, you were a public Scientologist. Okay, yeah. Jen has been doing research into the TTI programs, the troubled teen industry, and the beginnings of it, where it came from. And the links to Scientology, how much this guy who started the first TTI program, how much he took from Scientology is amazing. I had just read yesterday a link between the 2 of them, and it was like, wow, just wow. Yeah, so Scientology's everywhere. You met LRH? How in God's name did that come around? He's been gone for a while, right? He's in the early 80s, maybe 70s, late 70s. I'm not sure when he passed. Lacey, I'm here with you. You've tried to read Dianetics, but your brain just wouldn't register it. Yeah, I maybe another time in my life. I just haven't gotten into it yet. Okay, Kristen thinks he died in like 86 or 87. I was saying, yeah, I was thinking the 80s. Yeah, I don't know where Jen went. She might have taken a phone call. Actually, yeah, she might have taken a phone call from Vicki Molesky. That's very possible. She would have gotten home from work, and I think that they were going to speak. Love my ums. Janet watched the program. Yeah. I think anybody who watches it, their jaw will just drop. And what's sad is how unsurprising I think a lot of it to us survivors can be. It's still shocking that this went on. right? But having been through the experiences that we have been through, it's not to us going, oh my God, I can't believe how that could ever happen. We're going, yeah, no, I can believe it. I can see how it could. Yeah, very easily. There's a different level of understanding, and because somebody like Jen coming out of the TTI program, there's so many experiences that are similar. So much of the trauma is similar, not to mention all of the SA that is going on as well. So right there, we've got our link. Oh, interesting. Lacey says 86 for certain. Okay. Your ex owns all of the LRH books, but he was never in. Okay. Well. Hey, Jen, there you are. Kristen says in her early 20s, if it hadn't been for stuff like South Park and John Attack book, I might have gotten caught up in it easily. And that's a perfect age, to get caught up in it. 18 to 25, targeting those people because they're just getting out in the world, they're just getting their footing and trying to figure out who they are and where they fit. Suck up those young people, mold their minds. That's definitely the ones they want. Just reading some of your other comments. Yeah, I mean, there certainly are differences, and I will love to see Jen's videos when she is done, and she's going to do some comparing and contrasting between the programs in there, and I think it's going to be phenomenal. So anyway, trauma responses. We can go back to that a little bit. Depression. Again, it's a huge subject, and it covers so much, but the overriding description I got, or definition of it that I got, was it develops as a result of abuse because the pain is so overwhelming that the brain numbs the emotions. According to one place that I read, and I have not gotten too far into this, I have not deep dived into depression, so take this number with a grain of salt. But at least one professor, one psychologist, said that by the age of 30, 85% of survivors will have experienced depression or a mental health illness similar to it. That's a stat for you. Wow. She did not say whether or not she was differentiating between childhood or adult as to when the SA would have occurred. So that would have been interesting to know. Depression is certainly, because it's such a big subject, it's one of those ones that I want to get some stats on and see. And particularly, from childhood to an adult, how the reactions are and what the percentages are there. So that'll be interesting. I definitely will get some of that when I do the deep dive. So the numbing of emotions can cause, and I'm not saying anything new to you guys. I know it. I'm preaching to the choir basically, but just going to go through some of the information that I learned that kind of put it together in a concise, little format. The numbing of emotions can cause disconnection from yourself and from others, right? And that's kind of it goes into the lack of enjoyment and pleasure from doing things that you used to enjoy, your hobbies, your own kids sometimes. I mean, really, it can just numb everything. And it can be difficult to interact with other people at all. So numbing from yourself and from others. It says this can cause you to isolate to protect yourself from further pain, which creates loneliness, which heightens your symptoms of depression and makes them worse, and you go back into the cycle. So you can see how getting out of depression can be difficult, because it's the cycle that happens, and you've got to break that cycle at some point there, so that you have a hope of lifting it. The thing that the refrain that I did hear over and over again is, it is one of the most treatable, easily treatable conditions to be able to help people out of. So there's happiness there. Sometimes it just takes finding the right doctor, finding the right therapist. Medication is an option for some. Now with, MDMAs and mushrooms being legalized some places for therapeutic uses, ketamine's being legalized for therapeutic uses, there's a lot more out there. There is something similar to electric shocks, but it's not. It is an electric shock, but it's to a specific part of your brain, and it's disrupting some neural pathways. And they've had like an 85% success rate with it. And these are for severe suicidal, basically, people that they do it. And I think it's like a 6-week treatment, and you have to go 2 or 3 times a week or something like that. I don't think insurance pays for it. I don't know. And that was a number of years ago that I was looking into it. So I don't know where they are with that now. But that's interesting. Kristen, transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS. Yes, I have heard of this as well. It is different from what I was talking about, but similar. And when I was looking at it, and this was about probably 10 years ago, there weren't a whole lot of people doing it. There was some places in Detroit I could go to, but that was about it. And I think there was maybe one place here in town that did it, but it was so expensive. And they just, I just couldn't go down that road. Yeah, talk therapy can be a huge success for people. And not only talk therapy, but also adding in things like animal therapy, music therapy, art therapy, all these other things that you can do that kind of help you get out of that shell that you're in, and get you thinking about other things and doing other things. Because behavioral cognitive therapy is kind of the standard for what they're going to treat as a therapist. And it doesn't work for everybody. There are different ways of doing therapy. Going into a therapist and talking to them, it doesn't have to be this behavioral cognitive way. And I think for me, that was when I learned that. When I get a chance to go back into therapy, that's going to be huge for me, because the other one it just never worked for me. Jen says, I'm doing weekly intensive trauma therapy. Good for you. Good for you. I did not know it was weekly. That's awesome. Tree, you're in Canada, right? I think that's why I've never heard of the drugs that you are talking about, because they're not something that's used in the US a whole lot. Spravato, I have not heard of that one. And a nasal esketamine for depression. Interesting. Yeah, I have been on the same depression meds basically for forever. And so I have no idea what's out there now, because I haven't researched it. But there's got to be something else. I don't need to be taking the doses that I'm taking of basically it's Cymbalta and Wellbutrin. and I want off. I want off my pills. And if it's a situation where, when I'm off, I try psilocybin or MDMA, if that's, an option. I don't know. But I know that I've got to be in a good place for it. And that means that these other two major things that I need to get done are done. And then I feel like I am in a place where I'll be able to start paring back my drugs. So paring back my depression drugs is going to be first on the list for me. And then paring back my Lyrica is going to be second, and see if I can't find something to either replace it, or if my working out is good enough. It wasn't before, because I was carrying so much weight. It didn't matter even if I was working out, because just that additional weight, it was just always causing problems for me. So we'll see this time if we're able to do anything else. Izzy says, the best help I got was a 20-minute session with a free therapist at a uni, straight to the point. He gave me my homework on what you're trying to work on. See, that's great. The therapists that try and talk you to something, to a point, and try to get you to figure it out so that you discover it. I'm here because my life is in shambles, and I need you to tell me what to do, because I can't. My brain does, I'm on overload. I'm filled up to here. I can't take any more information. Don't ask me to try and process something. Just tell me what to do. And I got several people who were not like that. And of course, it didn't last very long. And it was just frustrating. And you kind of just want to throw the whole therapy thing out the window because of it. And it's hard to keep in mind that there's others out there still. Oh, wow. Please be careful getting off Cymbalta. Your aunt became suicidal when she stopped. Did she stop cold turkey? I am definitely planning on stepping down, and stepping down with them all slowly. I believe that my doctor said, yes, the Wellbutrin is the easier one, so that we would start stepping down on the Wellbutrin first. Why we wouldn't just step both of them down equally, I'm not sure. I want to talk to her still about that. Why getting off one and then getting off the other, and not just, reducing by 5 milligrams or something, both of them. To me, that kind of makes sense, but we'll see. Oh, it's interesting. Kristen says, sometimes you think the early career therapists at a uni are better because they haven't been tainted by the world yet. It could be. I know that when I was looking for counseling for my son before he had insurance, one of the local universities would take them, and it was their students basically. But the students who were already in like their master's program or something, it wasn't like, your bachelor, your undergrad, or anything like that. And they changed every, I think, 16 weeks or something like that. And so you would get a new one, but some people stayed with that program for years. You just got different perspectives, I guess, from, different people. Some people, that would be just too much. I think somebody for like my son, who doesn't have, huge issues, that it would have been okay. We had some things happen and that didn't end up happening, but I am going to be looking at some things again with that. So yeah, I'm going to be, yes, she did. Okay. Yeah, she did cold turkey. No, I'm definitely going to step down by it. Sorry, I'm stuttering because I'm reading Kristen's thing. Those exact combo you were on, And your psych had me do your same thing. So you stepped down off of Wellbutrin then before you stepped down off of the Cymbalta? Is that what I'm hearing? You're glad you didn't cut them both down at once. See, I guess my brain doesn't compute that, because my brain's saying, well, if we're going to step down off of things, if I'm getting a little less of one and I'm getting a little less of the other, because I added the Cymbalta to the Wellbutrin. So I don't know how I'm going to react when I'm like basically just on Cymbalta versus, not having the Wellbutrin. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to do some more research and talking to other people who have stepped down off of depression meds to see, when I get to a point, is it that the emotions, or my emotions are all over the place? Is this just because I'm going through this withdrawal type of thing, or is it going to be a matter of no, I really need that back? That's kind of where I am wondering, how long do I say X, Y, or Z has been going on to say it is a matter of I need to add that drug back? Does that make any sense? I'd really like to not. Cymbalta was harder. So if you cut them down both at once, you might be super tired. Okay, I've been there. I have been there. And that was when I was stepping down off of my fentanyl, actually. I had fentanyl patches that you wore for 3 days and then took off. I would never, ever, ever take the pills. The reason I got on the patches in the first place, it was the only drug in a patch, pain patch, that I could take. And because I was always in pain in the morning, I'd be okay once I took my medicine during the day, but then overnight, we just do the cycle over and over again. And I said, this is ridiculous. I need something that's continuous, either a 24-hour pill or, something. And that was the time that fent was getting big, kind of after the opiates were kind of going down a little bit, but these fent patches were going up. And yeah, so I was on those for quite a while. I'll tell you, the high the first day, to me, I'd never been on anything more than pot. So I didn't associate it as a high. It was just like, I felt like I could take on the world. I felt like my old self. I felt like that old self, that person who felt that they could do things, who could be on top of things. I got a handle on this. This is no problem. That, and that need to be done. Okay, let's do it. There was a point in my life where I was like that. And I lost it. And if you're going to ask me when, I could not tell you. I could not tell you exactly when, but I want that back. I want that back bad. I want to feel like I can handle my life again. And I want to be living my life, not just being alive, which is how I've been for the past 10 years, at least since my breakdown. I know I can get there. This has been helping so much, having a community of people who get it, who understand. And so I thank each and every one of you for being here and for sharing your experiences with me, because it's helping me to become a better person. And eventually, I hope that's going to translate into me being a better host, being a better moderator for this as it grows, being able to handle the increase in people. And I have high hopes for the future. And when things are been going okay, I can kind of see that, yeah, maybe this will actually happen, instead of going, oh, that's such a pie in the sky dream. I'm getting there. I'm down to only a couple projects, so I'm getting there. That makes me happy. Thank you, Kristen. So you're doing such amazing things, helping people come together here. You know, guys, I'm just providing the space for you. You are the ones who are amazing and who are making this work. If you guys didn't show up to talk and share your experiences, I'd just be a person talking at a channel, and maybe people listened on a replay or whatnot. Each and every one of you is what makes this channel work, and we couldn't do it without you. So you are the beginners. You got on the ground level with this, so you're always going to be nearest and dearest to my heart. Definitely. So thank you, each and every one of you. Janet says, I hear you, Sharon. I want that energy initiative back too. Yeah. So you get what I'm saying, right? That just, there's that feeling inside when you feel on top of things, and I definitely want that back. Christmas, are you asking if I'm having a bad reaction to my meds? No, I'm not. I'm just tired of taking them, and I want to see if I can do without. I'm older, I hope wiser, and when I do it, I'm going to be in a point of strength. I have the knowledge to know if something's going wrong with it, with the weaning off. And some of the alternatives for helping once you're off, whether it be the MDMA or the mushrooms, it's something that I want to be able to try then at that point in time. And I think I can manage this. I'm hoping I can manage this. So I want to give it a try. If I have to be on the pills for the rest of my life, then so be it. But I want to give it a try and see if I can. I've been on pills since I was 25 for depression. I've been on Lyrica for about 20. And the Lyrica, I want to step down as well. And I might start stepping down on some of that with the depression meds. I'm not sure. I need to ask my doctor about that. But it's causing involuntary muscle spasms. And I don't know how much worse those will get over the next, 5, 10, 15 years. I don't want tremors to start or anything like that. So, I'd be one of the test cases for long-term use of Lyrica, because there just, wasn't any at that point in time, when I got off. So wean off slowly, definitely. Is impulsiveness a symptom of trauma? I mean, I guess I would say from the avenue of doing things without thinking, that could be, we could kind of fit it in that way. I'm feeling like, yeah, it fits under somewhere, but I don't think it's a standalone, but I feel like it fits under somewhere. So I've written that down, and I will definitely look at that. So when I'm doing my deep dive, if and when it comes up, I'll add it under. So I did want to get through just a couple more things with what I actually wrote down on these. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for all the information about stepping down. I'm going to be relying on all of you, and I will be talking to each and every one of you, on the daily, whether it's through the lifeboat, whether it's through here. I might start doing some more lives. And if you notice things, negative things, tell me, because I might not notice the changes myself. My son might not notice it necessarily because he lives with me and sees me every day, where if you guys are only seeing me every few days, it might be more apparent. So please, definitely let me know, and I'll let you know when I start. Yeah, let's, I'm just appropriating the number scheme that everybody else is doing. So let's throw up ones for Izzy. I know she's having a hard time right now, feeling a bit overwhelmed. Single parenting is tough. It's tough on the best days. And when you're feeling it from other avenues, whether it's, work, or whether it's things in the house, or, things that your child needs, it can just be all too much. And as a single parent, I 100% understand that. I'm on the other side of it. Whereas Izzy's on the young kids side. I've got the older kids, so I've been there. And hugs and love, lots of hugs and love. Just like I told you this afternoon, if I could, I would. I'd be there, right there, giving you hugs. So, and everyone, I got to say, the thumbnails for today and for Saturdays, Izzy made those. So she is brilliant. I mean, I asked her about it, and within like 10 minutes, she had sent me both of them. I kind of gave her an idea as to what I was thinking, and it was like, poof, there it came. So brilliant. Misha has made, Misha, I'm going to say Misha all the time, I just know it, has made thumbnails for me as well, and those have been incredible. I thank each and every one of you for helping me in the different ways that you can. I know Todd has offered to do some video editing as well. I'm thinking about taking some of the lives and maybe making some shorts out of segments that are in there, but that's just going to take time because I have to go back through all the lives, and I just don't have time for that right now. Yeah, we all do. We all have those days, Izzy, and it just, where you just want to throw up your hands and go, I'm done. I can't do anymore. That's it, But yeah, your kid doesn't stop being your kid during that time, unfortunately. Take a breather, The outing you have this weekend should be a nice break from everything. Enjoy yourself. I expect pictures. I want pictures of a gown. I'm telling you that. Yep. Diane says, breathe, girl, breathe. And Tree Hugger, you've got a team. You do. We are all on your back. And sometimes just knowing that the people are there and that people are rooting for you can make things feel so much better, because you're not alone. You're not alone. And even if we can't do anything to effectuate your situation directly, we'll be there in any other way that we can. So definitely reach out if you need, on an individual basis, to me or anybody else. I know you're on Discord a lot, and I know you'll connect if you need, Sandy. Oh my Lord. See, I missed this. Healthcare system in Quebec. I literally have to be put on a 5-year waiting list or pay in full for a therapist. Wow. Wow. Well, guess what? You get free therapy here. None of us are licensed therapists, but we've all been through it, and I think collectively we're pretty good therapists. you know, what one person doesn't know, somebody else probably does, and they pipe up, and it's just a wonderful thing. And we're so grateful for you as well. We're as grateful to you as you are to us. And I think that is just wonderful. Nope, no days off for motherhood, unfortunately. You are a parent 365, 24/7. Sometimes my son will call me and he'll be in earnest, like something, he'll be telling me something, and I'm kind of like, why are you telling me this? I really don't, I have nothing to add to it. It's not but it's just, he's sharing with me, and my old self, I'm not quite my new self yet, but I'm not my old self right now. My old self would have said that out loud. Why are you telling me this? And that kind of puts a damper on, if you're just trying to share with somebody, right? So now I'm catching myself, and I'm not saying that, and I'm engaging and, listening to what he has to say. And it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. He's a great kid. I hope to have him on sometime, but he's at work on Wednesdays, so would have to be on a Saturday. Izzy, I'm there with you. The community is more important to me than therapy, because I work from home as well. And I have my son, but, he works 3 days a week, and he looks like he might be switching jobs, so he's actually going to be working a lot more. But I'll be home in the evenings more, which will be nice. He won't have to work nights. But he's gone with his girlfriend or gone to see his friends. He has a car, so he's mobile. So a lot of times it's just me and the cats. And you all are my way of being able to reach out and, feel like I'm doing something. I'm not going to the bar and, sitting down chatting to people there. I get to reach out to you guys and sit and chat, and I love it. I hear this refrain over and over again. I'm saying it, Izzy's saying it. Jana, Izzy, connection, something's been severely lacking in my life. I let it slide while I was raising my daughters. Now that they're out for university, I'm feeling it big time. Yeah, absolutely. And Gypsy, same thing. Groups helped me so much more than the last 4 therapists you've had collectively. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh, oh my goodness. Yeah, sometimes it can be that way. I will never say that we are a substitute for professional therapy, because I do think that there's a place for it. But not everybody may need it, or to the same degree. So yeah, I'm absolutely. Oh, yeah, okay. Never mind. It'll be $200, Gypsy. Yeah, this is really true. For a lot of people, you realize your socializing was around alcohol, then you stopped and you realize those people weren't really your friends. They were just people you drank with in the same room, right? That was your connection. That's what you had in common, was the alcohol, right? So you'd shoot the breeze with them as long as you were drinking, but these weren't people you'd go out and do something else with. And that's when we stop our addictions, when we stop our negative coping skills and start really down that positive road, you do feel who your friends are and who they aren't. And mine are each and every one of you. You guys get it. I don't have many out here in the real world, if you want to call it that. Jen, I've met in person, so that's one. And of course, I want to meet each and every one of you guys somehow, because I just feel like you've all become my friends, and that is such a gift for me, from someone who did not have them, hasn't really had a lot of them, true friends in my life. Knowing that you guys are all there is just wonderful for me. And I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Janet, you'll never drink alone again because you're not drinking. I wanted to read, excuse me one second. Oh, that song probably sounded wonderful. I wanted to read you a few things that I had uncovered about dissociation. And the definition of dissociation is just a disconnection from your thoughts, senses, behavior, emotions, identity, or memories. And this can be on a lot of different levels, right? Not all of us may have experienced dissociation, but I think most of us probably have, to a degree, because I think it goes part and parcel with the numbing of the feelings, the numbing of the emotions. So there's a disconnect between you and your emotions, or you and your senses. It's when it gets when you have a little bit more dissociation. I guess I'm not phrasing this right, but zoning out, that's a form of dissociation. I know I do that sometimes. I should be working and all of a sudden my brain starts thinking about something else and I'm just going out. You're dissociating from what you should be doing, right? So anytime you zone out, have like daydreams, whatever, it's a form of dissociation. So it can be a mild dissociation, something like that. But you disconnect from your emotions, and it can lead to feelings of blankness and nothingness, walking around like you're in a fog. Some people have also described it as having a pane of glass in front of you. So you're in your life, but there's a barrier between you and the other people. You're not there where you'd be able to just reach out and touch them. There's something in between you guys. The severe dissociation, and this is not necessarily DID, the dissociative identity disorder, or what used to be multiple personalities. It doesn't have to be to that degree, but in the cases of severe trauma, childhood trauma, I'm talking about in particular, when it is so traumatic that you can't handle it, your brain cannot process what is going on, dissociation will start to occur. And it's your brain's way of protecting yourself from that trauma and allowing you to see it from a third party's viewpoint. Some people say they might have an out-of-body experience to where they're actually looking down on the person who's there. Then you could have the complete dissociation where you as your true self has gone bye-bye and somebody else, another identity, has come and taken that place. So you may or may not be viewing that from your personal self. It may be cut off totally from you, so that sparing you that pain and sparing you that trauma and giving it to another identity. The difficulty can become, and I'm not talking about DID because that's a whole separate set of, difficulty in and of itself. but it can lead to memory loss, what can be called fugue states, where you will not remember having done something for the last few hours, or you have a partial memory of doing something. And I'm talking now as an adult. You'll have a partial memory of doing something, but not complete. So you weren't quite all there. Your brain wasn't quite all there doing whatever that function was. And it does this because the dissociation, when it's a severe trauma as a kid, that dissociation, that coping mechanism grows with you. And this goes for all those other coping mechanisms. And this is why it's so hard as an adult to break those, to deal with those effects of trauma, of the childhood trauma, because they have grown up with you and they have protected you in some way. At least that's the thought of it, right? A lot of times it causes even more problems, but the reason it had come up was to protect you. So take anxiety, for instance. Anxiety is characterized by feelings of dread, apprehension, tension, or fear. Prolonged, persistent distress. This is one of the very common elements or factors in PTSD, along with depression and a lot of other symptoms as well. But this is where your limbic system, that automatic system, is remaining on high alert, paying attention for danger wherever it may be, you know? So it never gets back to baseline. You're always at this hypervigilance stage. And it can be that it's trying to protect you, and it could be something that's perceived as a similar event, perceived as a danger, and therefore you react a certain way. And usually it's disproportionate to the situation that you're dealing with. The anxiety can also cause you to isolate, right? To stay at home, to not go to at least that type of function or that place because you might be triggered. And it can be debilitating, right? And when your anxiety gets severe enough, it can lead into panic attacks. So as I was reading some of this stuff, preparing for today, that's what really struck me, is that how much these things do stay with us when we don't even know it from childhood. These coping mechanisms that have gone on from childhood that we've grown up with now, that we feel are like sometimes just part of our personality. Well, in a way they are, because it's been there for so long. This is how we've done things. In reality, it's a negative coping skill. It was a coping skill at the time and it was beneficial for a certain thing, but we don't need it anymore. We don't need it in the way that it's operating. And to think of it like that, I was thinking about some of the things of me, my depression, my anxiety, the issues that I have. If that was taken out of my life, taken out of my personality, so I wasn't doing X, Y, or Z or A, B, and C because of those, what would my life look like? And on some level, it's a little scary because you have grown up with it, it does feel like a part of you. So you're breaking how you deal with something who are you on the other side? You know, that's where we have to take the leap of faith and know that it's going to be better. We may not be able to see it. We may not be able to visualize what it's going to be, but it's going to be better. And I thought that was a really interesting way to think about things, because I know most of us have had trauma as a child. And think about the effects that affected you as a child. Think about those now as you're growing up. What did they affect as a teen? What did they affect as a young adult? What did they affect now? And that was another reason why after I did this, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm getting off these meds. I've got these couple other things that I need to do. I know I can do it. I can do it. I know it. Just taking time. It's taking time, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to see who I am on the other side. I'm excited. I'm scared to death because I don't know what it's going to be like. We cut our fentanyl patches down in the same order that we increased them, which was 25, 50, 75. 75 to 50 was no problem. 50 to 25, whoa, that drop was the worst 3 months of my life. You want to talk about fatigue? I could barely keep my eyes open 24/7. It was awful. Of course, I found out years later that if I had just called, he would have, had me at like 33 something. He would have had me cut one of them in half and put them on. And I'm just like, oh, now you tell me. I had no idea at the time. No idea at the time. I'm going to get caught up. Thank you, Janet. And I will. And like I said earlier, I encourage any of you, if you're noticing something different about me, positive or negative, as I'm going off of these meds, I want to know, because there's so much more that someone can see from the outside looking in than you're going to notice about yourself, or, somebody living with you as well, because they see you every day. They talk to you every day. It's not quite as apparent. I'm not sure that I'm following that conversation, so I better go back here just a little bit. Wow, Sandy, your ex actually had multiple personalities. Did you realize it at the time, or was it after you guys separated that you realized he had multiple personalities? I can't imagine what it would be like to not know what you were doing for the past 3 hours. But somebody telling you, oh, yeah, you were doing X, Y, and Z. It was like, that would be very, very surreal. Gypsy, you said, I'm not sure if it's because of dissociating is what caused me to think that others surely would not remember me. I mean, I guess in not remember you in what respect? I guess I'm not clear on that. I mean, I definitely thought, after I left, I moved every 3 years, that the people, yeah, they wouldn't remember me. I was just kind of one amongst many, and good riddance, bye-bye, that I was going along. I don't think that I had much of an impact. Tree, that's wonderful. It's wonderful that you're having therapy focusing on internal family systems. That's great. And Kristen, this is so common. I know so many people on here who have this at some age. You don't have much of it. You're having brief flashes here and there. I will go back to what I said before, and this is definitely one of those that a deep dive will be, a good Saturday afternoon talk or whatever. There's so much here to talk about, and especially if I'm going to add back flashbacks or memory, getting your memories back, repressed memories, I should say. If I'm adding that in as well and talking about that with the dissociation, because I truly believe that this neuroscientist had a point, whether it's the end all and be all, I can't say, but whatever flashes you have, you've gotten because your brain felt it was okay to release that at that particular time. And if you're not going to get, if you don't get any more, it's because your brain's still protecting you. And I guess I just think of that as a nice thought. Your brain is still protecting you. You're not ready. Maybe you'll never be ready. Maybe as you work through other things, you will start getting them back. Who knows? But definitely is a subject that goes hand in hand with dissociation. And I would like to probably deal with both of those together. May need to separate them into a two-parter, but I really, I almost think I might do a Saturday, Sunday on that and do, add an additional show so we could talk about it kind of back to back. But not having memories as a young person is so, so, so common. And you've got a whole community if you do start remembering things, and that can be tough. That can be really tough. I've only gotten a few flashes back from my abuse when I was 4. I don't remember much at all. I've gotten, like I said, a few flashes of memory, but that's feelings more as to what I hold on to, as to what I can remember, is how I was feeling inside. Almost what the other person was feeling. So it's the sense that I got from them. That's the only thing that I've held on to, and I haven't gotten any others from that. But it's a rough one. Gypsy says, I always think that I'm forgettable and I need to reintroduce myself. It's weird. No, okay, I understand what you're saying. It's that invisibility aspect. Thinking that, even a room full of people were totally alone because you're just there blending into the wall. And that can be a tough one to deal with. That can be a real tough one to deal with. And that's part and parcel too of not feeling like you fit in. So again, that's a protective mechanism of ours to just, put us on the, everybody gets their cats. Here's mine. We're here for you. We remember you each and every day. I will say I do not know your real name, so I'm still going to call you Gypsy Daisy, unless Daisy is your first name. I don't know. I never pretend to think that whatever you've put in your handle is actually part of your name, because sometimes it's been way, 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 way off. Oh, the multiple personalities, you didn't figure it out until you'd known them a while. Yeah. I would think that that would be a tough one, because it's not something we look for, right? You just might think he's, we say sometimes, it's like, God, it's like there's two of you, when people act kind of this way and that way. And I guess in his case, it was actually true. Move. Oh, I feel the same way. Izzy says, it's wild to me that I exist in people's minds and conversations when I'm not around. It freaks me out. Yep. But I'll tell you, if we're ever talking about you, it's good stuff. 100% for me. Always good stuff. And I always hear good stuff about you, Izzy, about how helpful you've been on Discord, about how wonderful it is that you're there consistently, because people know that they can always reach out and find somebody. And usually it's you or Anik. So thank you. Thank you for all you do. And just in your searching for connection, you're helping so many other people as well. So it's a tough life, single mama, but you're making a huge impact, whether you realize it or not. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Diane says, if you do start recalling things, please reach out. It can be very confusing and overwhelming. Remember, you are safe. And journal, guys. Journal. Write it down. Get all that stuff out of your brain, because you won't remember it all the same. When you start having those flashes, start writing about it, because you won't be able to make sense of things sometimes, because you will only maybe get little bits and pieces of something. And it's not until you get enough little bits and pieces that you can kind of put it into a sequence and go, oh, that's what happened. That's what my brain was, remembering. So please, I encourage you to write it down somehow, even if you're not a regular journaler. Is that a word? I just made one up. Start if memories start coming back. I really encourage you to do that. Oh, we love you too, Izzy. You're just great. Yay, Janet. Oh, Jen, you got food. We thought maybe you were on the phone. Good to have you back. Janet started journal for the first time yesterday. You had a good session with a new therapist and wanted to start writing it down. That is wonderful. I have not written in my journal for days. I will be honest. Things have been going fairly well, and I've just been exhausted, and I've gotten up in the morning and just started my day and felt like I didn't have time to do it, even though it was on my mind. I knew that I should be, and I just haven't been making time. And I know that's the wrong thing to do. And I need to make time, whether it's I need to get up earlier for it or what, but I need to start. So congratulations. Hey, Todd, how you doing? Good to see you. You'll have to watch some of this on the replay. It's we talked about a lot of good stuff today. It is basically just an overview of trauma responses. Didn't dive deep into anything specific. That is for a later date. All of the things that I mentioned, I want to do deep dives on them, so they'll all be individual lives. I also want to do 10-minute condensed kind of this is what it is videos, like the 3 that I put up on trauma comparison, and the ACEs study that's up. So that was in a nutshell what we were doing and what we were talking about. But, oh, you didn't get a notification. Well, I'm on at 7 every Wednesday and 3 every Saturday. I have not missed a day, and I really don't plan on it. So you want to put those down in your calendar and give yourself a notification for time. Don't rely on YouTube. You can do an alarm yourself. So 7 Eastern on Wednesdays and 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. And this Saturday, you will not want to miss it. So if you missed the announcement earlier that Tommy kind of let slip this morning, or I did say I did announce it in Need a Meeting. Tommy is going to, from the Lifeboat, is going to be on my show this Saturday. We're going to be talking about prison trauma versus SA trauma. And I think it's going to be an incredibly interesting discussion. I've talked to Kelly about coming on the show, and she's amenable to that idea. And I think that we could have a continuing conversation about the same thing, but from a woman's prison's point of view. And I think it's going to be quite different. But I think it'll be a very, very interesting conversation to have. So that is on deck for Saturday. Now, what I haven't told any of you is that we haven't set the date yet. We're not quite sure. It might be Sunday night, Sunday night's Lifeboat, or Monday. But whichever one, then I will be on Tommy's show. I'm going to be appearing on the Lifeboat. So when we get that nailed down, exactly what date and time that's going to be, I will certainly let all of you know, but I'm really excited about that. It will at least be within 3 or 4 days after Saturday, so it'll be by Tuesday at the latest. But I will be on the Lifeboat for one of the shows. No idea what we're talking about. I'm assuming Tommy's probably just going to interview me a little bit, about SA trauma and, how trauma leads to addiction in general. And that way, when topics come up like the Madeline Soto case, he can talk about my channel or just kind of remind people, hey, you can head over to this channel if you need, if this was triggering for you or whatever. And he's going to have a link to my channel in the description. So any of the episodes that he does, any of the shows that he does that are going to touch on SA, he'll be including those, which is just absolutely wonderful. I tried often in the Madeline Soto case to put the information out there because I did notice a lot of people seem to be getting triggered, or at least, talking about their experiences. And one person did say, I'm taking the recommendation and I'm headed out, because that was one of the first things that I said to everybody there once I realized what we were going to be discussing on that show. I wish I could have known ahead of time and could have set a few things up with Tommy in regards to that, but he didn't realize. I think that case really, even though we've said things before in his lives when things have come up, the Danny Masterson trial and all of that, and people have mentioned, the trauma, the SA trauma that they might have suffered. The number of people that came forth and said something with the Madeline Soto case was astounding. It really was. It was kind of comment after comment after comment. And I know that really affected Tommy. and he just was blown away by, you know, how many people that this has affected that were on his boat that have gone through this. So, Tommy, if you're listening and if I misspoke on anything, please let me know. I will definitely issue a retraction and a correction, but I think I'm right on all of that. Oh, you dodged that one. You weren't in that one. It is nice to be seen and heard because it makes us definitely feel real, right? And valued. And that's why I think that's going to change the beginning a little bit, my opening. So the way I did today is the way I plan on opening, and we're just going to be ending with the "You're worthy." This is what I was trying to put up. So somebody warned you ahead of time what the Soto case was, and yeah, because a lot of people were just kind of blown away. I think because so many details had come out about that case, the fact that there were a number of different things within that, and I'm not going to go, I was going to start speaking, but I'm not going to go through that because I know it's very triggering for some people, but the number of different things within different essays that were in that and that came out of it, along with the pictures and videos and things like that, it hit a lot of people, you know, in a lot of different ways. And I know that Tommy wants to follow the case. The father was arrested, the stepfather, boyfriend, and however you want to call him. I guess he was arrested. I don't know if he was arrested at the time that Tommy had gone through it. Maybe he has, but I know he's been charged. And that's about all I know. I'm so glad you joined us today, Todd. We're doing well. Izzy was having a day, but it looks like her kid's asleep now, so take a deep breather. Has it been hard for you today, Todd? Did I miss something? I am so sorry. Yes, please put up some ones for Todd, for Matrix Rabbit. What is it? You're off to bed? I don't know. It started out good. I think the conversation had a certain person set it all off. Oh, you know, that's going to be so frustrating. You have a conversation with one person, it derails your whole day. And, you know, that I think is part of our trauma responses, because other people can take that and go, okay, you know, I had a bad conversation with that, and they kind of put it in its lane and, you know, deal with it and then go on with the rest of their day. But for some of us who, you know, are still working through all of these trauma responses, all the effects of our trauma, that one bad conversation can just throw us totally off. So I get 100% what you mean if that's what derailed your day. So yeah, go to bed, get some good rest. Tomorrow's a new day. And you know that there are people here that if you need to talk about what happened yesterday, journal about it, put your thoughts down, and, you know, maybe you'll come across something that really pinpoints why it was so triggering for you in terms of making the rest of the day bad, not being able to recover from that bad conversation. reminded you of all your failures. Yeah, that can be really rough. That can be really rough. But what you need to keep in mind was that was the old one, right? That was the old person. And I don't know if that was, pre-stopping any addictions that you have, any of your drug of choice, whatever, but that was the old person. Believe me, I've had so many parenting fails in such a crucial time of my child's life that when I think about them, I break down every single time because I know how much I failed that kid. And I wish I could have been there for him. And I wasn't. But that's because of what I was going through at the time. That was the old me. So try and take a little bit of solace in that. You're not that person anymore. You may not be the person you want to be, but you're not that person anymore. And we all believe in you. We have faith in you. You're changing your life. And the more connection you have here, the more people you have to help shore you up and show you that those failures do not define you. And sometimes some people, the way they view things and they say something's a failure, it really isn't. Oh, you've been journaling. Good, 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 good. There's so much, practice what you preach, right? So many times I'm telling you guys, journal about that, write it down, get it out, because it really does help to read it back and put pieces together. Things will just kind of jump off the page at you and go, this is why this happened. You're like, whoa, really? Oh my gosh, mystery solved. There's been so many things that have happened like that. And so I will definitely get back into it. It's sitting right in front of me, actually. My book is sitting right in front of me. Yeah, it's possible. That's, we don't know the conversation. You're saying it's not so much the conversation, but it was the person you were having it with. That person was probably a big part of your life when it was a bad time in your life. So look at that. Is that a person that you want to still have connection with, that you need to still have connection with? Because if it isn't, if it's just, if it's just a friend, if it reminds you that much, if it's that toxic to you, maybe you need to put some space there. I don't know, because I don't know what your relationship was with there, but just a thought. Oh, Todd. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. What was I just saying? Yeah. From 5 to 15, basically. I was there, but I wasn't there for my son. And I have so many regrets. He's turned out to be a pretty good kid in spite of me. And I get that. And that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. I don't know the ins and outs of it. If it's possible to try and develop a relationship with him, since he does reach out at times when he needs things. It may not be the right time for you. It may be that you've got more things within yourself that you need to deal with in order to be able to maintain a positive relationship with him and to develop it if it's, at all possible. I know that there were things in my life that I needed to do, people I needed to talk to. I knew I couldn't do it until I had reached a certain level of understanding of myself, or just, a certain level of coping. It might be a better way of saying it. I had to get to a certain place in order to be able to deal with them. I don't know exactly what all the situation is, but we definitely are all sending you ones and prayers and hugs and love, because I think all of us have had somebody who we loved in our life who is not as close to us as we maybe would like them to be. And we feel that we have failed them. And we feel for you. And we're here for you. You can talk. Okay, I know you've got my email. And I know you're on Discord a lot. And there's a lot of people here who are saying they're rooting for you. And we will definitely still have your back. Okay? So you keep plugging forward, Todd. Keep plugging forward. Keep working on yourself. And with hope, you can maybe rebuild that relationship when it's the right time. I've said before, I don't know what I really feel in terms of a higher power, whether it's a God or whether it's somebody manipulating the universe or cosmic karma. But things do seem to happen when they need to happen. Maybe not when I want them to happen, but so take hope. Take hope. He does still talk to you, at least. Even if it's just if you need something, he's still talking to you. So there's still the possibility of connection there. Yeah, you guys see it more than I do, because I know that I'm not on Discord very much because of the work that I do during the day. But we will all keep rooting for you. Keep our lines of communication open. You need something, you let us know. And all we can do is try. You say you're trying, all you can do is try. And sometimes we fall down and you got to get back up, and we fall down and we got to get back up, and we fall down a bazillion times before we get it right. And that can be definitely frustrating. Oh my gosh. Because it gets to a point you think, why try again? This is just, obviously I'm not able to do it. Yeah, you can. You just got to figure out how. There's a different tack you got to take. I'm wishing you the best. Janet, you did not just say that. Diane says she's there for you. But unfortunately, Janet says, I don't even know what Discord is. I love you, Janet. I love you so much. I actually only knew about it because of when it came out. The kids were all in a woo about being on Discord. It's a place where you can, it's an app and they have different servers, right? So the Lifeboat has a server there, and you can get together and talk to one another. And Cedar has, Scoville has broken it down into different rooms, basically, if you want. You know, here's a room for people who use cannabis. Here's a room for people who use opioids. Here's just a general room. So you can kind of think about it like that. So a lot of different places, and I know a lot of channels are getting them. Some of them have worked well, and some of them I've heard have become kind of toxic. So it really just depends on the group that you have. But it's an invite only. To my knowledge, I don't think just anybody can join. You have to have an invite in order to join. But if you want to know more about it, get with Izzy or Anik. They're really great about it. But you can download it on your phone. It's an app that you can download from your whatever store you have, or you can download it on your computer. I have it on both. Yeah, if you ask on the lifeboat next time you're there, one of the wrenches will be able to throw it up for you. I do not have it. I don't think anywhere. But yeah, somebody on the lifeboat will have a link to it since it's their server. Actually, go in any of their videos. Go into, probably not these short ones, but to any of the regular videos that we do, any of the lives, it's in the description there. So I do know that. Another rabbit hole. Actually, it's just another place for connection, right? And you know, some of these guys are on it all day, you know, or in and out of it or whatever, because it, you know, works for them, works with their schedule. You can get, if it's open, if the app is open, like on my computer, if it's open and somebody messages me, private message, it will ding for me and let me know that I have a message there. And that's the only way that I'm able to really keep up with anything with it. Otherwise, I have to start. You can't stop laughing. What do you think I'm doing? I am chuckling so severely on the inside right now. Yeah, it's where the boat chat goes after hours. They'll slide on over to Discord. Follow the Matrix Rabbit. Follow the white rabbit down the hole. Okay, guys. Well, it's getting on 20 after 9. My son has just gotten home from work. And so I think we'll end this here. Janet, you can figure out Discord. You are a smart, smart, smart girl. I know that you'll be able to figure this out. Yeah, I know. I'm 99% sure that any of the Lifeboat videos has it in their description. But just download the app first. So good night to everyone. Oh, you just downloaded it. Good for you. See, you're ahead of the curve already. I can't wait to see you guys on Saturday. I hope you can make it for the live. If you can't, watch the replay. I'm sure it's going to be a really, really, really interesting time. And as soon as I know when I'm going to be on a lifeboat, I will share that with you. I am so excited about that too. We hope, but we don't know, that this may gain a lot more people in the chat. And of course, I'll be going through it just as well as I can. Depending on our numbers, I may need to tap some of you to be some wrenches. If you're interested, just email me. If it's something that you think you might want to do on one or both of the days, let me know. I don't know when we're going to get to that point. I'm not quite sure how many people is worthy of having a wrench. I guess maybe if we start getting some trolls, that you know, that's when we might need one the most. But so far, so good. So we'll see what happens when we have the bigger exposure. But I'm excited about it. I'm really, really excited about it because it means that more people will know that there is a place to go. I am not looking to expand for numbers. I am looking to expand for numbers only that then these people know that there's some place to be. I don't need, 1,000 people to sign up just cause, right? But if those 1,000 people have a reason to be here because they want to learn about trauma, they want to learn about sexual assault, maybe their cousin or their brother, or maybe it wasn't them, maybe somebody in their family was sexually assaulted, and they want to understand that better. Just like how I initially went into the lifeboat to understand more about alcoholism so I could understand my ex better. Then started realizing some things about myself and dealt with that. So there may be some traumas that these people will come up with. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. All right. Diane, Kristen, Izzy, Sandy, everybody, Todd, anybody else that I missed? Lacey already said good night. All of you guys. Remember here, we're surviving together. We're never alone. You are never alone. You are worthy. You are valuable. And most of all, you are loved so much. So hugs and love. Bye for now, guys. Can't wait to see you Saturday.